how did this first come together? Did you guys call Andrew Lloyd Weber? Like, how does this happen?
Eventually, we absolutely.
But how did it start to, like, there's always either people sitting around a table thinking, oh my God, what if we just did this?
We both have our own stories about that.
Yeah.
About 30 years ago, I began to think about Andrew Lloyd Webber's musical Cats in a gay context. I thought about the possibility of Grisabella being an older gay man in a gay bar singing the song Memory, and that was the seed. But over time, we realized, of course, it's not a bar, it's a ball. And Grisabella is not a gay man, Grisabella is a transgender woman. And that is, in fact, what Cats the Jellicle Ball became.
Yeah. I mean, it really started with that impulse from Bill. And we were connected after I had started to have some really in jest conversations with a roommate of mine about what if there was a production of Cats wherein no one was an actual cat. And there weren't ears and there weren't tails.
It sounds sacrilegious, but you kind of love it.
And you just kind of called each other cat in the way that you did in the 20th century. Look at that cat. Look at that cool cat. That's a sly cat right there. And I was like, well, it's already kind of in the American vernacular. I bet there's a cultural context that you could put the show in. But I just assumed Andrew Lloyd Webber would never let such a radical change happen with the show. And then we were connected soon after that because the casting director of that show was like, you need to talk to Bill because Bill is also thinking along the exact same lines.
So who calls Andrew Lloyd Webber?
It was a group of us who figured out how to do the show in the context of Ballroom, and we began to reach out to people in Andrew's company, and each person we talked to said, we think it's fantastic, we love the idea, it's going to be up to Andrew. And that was like a good year-long process, and eventually Andrew said yes.
Can you talk a little bit more about how perfectly the world of Ballroom overlaps with structurally how Cats works? Because Cats, if you've seen it, it's not a linear plot line. It's essentially like a narrator announcer saying like, and look at this character, and like that is very much how Ballroom works. And with the additional script work that they did, it maps almost perfectly into it. I've talked to so many people who say Cats has never worked this well, including Elaine Page, right?
It's been very exciting. We've had lots of Cats alum, both people who have been on stage and off stage who really relate to the show. There's people who have historically hated the musical and really enjoy themselves, and people who feel a lot of fidelity towards the original musical and enjoy themselves at the show as well. So there's a lot of that happening. It's very fascinating. But yeah, I do think that there is this kind of beautiful marriage between ballroom culture and Cats. Some of the themes of Cats that have always been there, themes of family, themes of tribe, themes of competition and one-upmanship and who's going to get the grand prize by the end of the night. You know, if you go to a ball, it is all centered around a competition wherein identity is made pageant. And I think that the mix between that and just working with the original T.S. Eliot poetry and really finding new ways to interpret these humans, not as cats, but as humans in the ballroom scene, there are all these ways that the show ended up dancing with ballroom that was really surprising.
One of the most fun aspects of the whole project was matching each song about each character with different categories in ballroom.
Yeah.
And that was, from early on, so many of them just completely locked into place and made perfect sense. So it does feel like T.S. Eliot meant this all along.
Yeah.
And Andrew Lloyd Webber, it was just waiting to be excavated in this way.
How do you take a production like this that was so successful downtown and bring it to Broadway?
Well, I think one of the things you have to do first is to make a commitment to not copy and pasting an experience.
Like, is it a different? I mean, Chris, you've seen it both on
different,
Broadway.
right?
Is it different?
Yeah.
It's enhanced. I mean, when you take something to Broadway, you enhance it, and it really is amped up. And
do you get new producers
not
on
different
it
very
and stuff?
much.
And like, there needs to be additional funding
Or
the costumes get amped up because that's a big part, right, of this?
It's the amping up you're talking about. We have two lead producers who are extraordinary and many, many co-producers. But the biggest thing we struggled with was how to make it work in a proscenium. Because at PAC NYC, it's a very immersive space.
Yeah.
It's very, very flexible. There were cabaret tables. The runway was 50 feet long. So essentially on Broadway, we have twice as many audience members, but only half the space.
Yeah.
And what was great about the exercise of figuring out how to tell this story on a Broadway stage is that it forced more focus, and it allowed us to dig into the story in an even deeper way.
And I would say that by the end of Off-Broadway, we were able to say, what really works about this? What is the thing that if we had to take it somewhere else, people would go, but I can't lose this? And to my surprise, I really would have assumed that it was the 50-foot long runway. And I think that's the expectation of the thing that you think you might miss. But the truth is, what felt life or death for this production was making sure that the audience felt like they were in a different relationship with each other. And that feels even more amplified on Broadway because you're on Broadway and you can't believe you're hooping and hollering next to people on Broadway.
And we have 80
were you
seats on
hooping and
stage.
hollering?
Well, speaking of life and death, it is not an easy time to take a musical to Broadway.
Yeah.
I mean, was this anxiety provoking? I mean, can you talk about how much it was capitalized for, or like, you know, how risky it felt to take it from your theater to this huge stage?
I think the final numbers on the capitalization are not known even to us, but it was not cheap. It's not cheap to do a 23 actor on stage musical on Broadway in today's economy. But it was there was just such passionate belief in the project from the get-go, from our producers.
Yeah. Though I will say, I mean, you say this all the time, us being able to accomplish the show in the proscenium means that the show gets to have a longer life. It means that we don't make something that's so expensive that we can't eventually take it on the road or take it to another country. So there's always the negotiation between, like, what is the budget, what is the scale, how do we accomplish this without an audience ever knowing?
All right, I'm just gonna.
Do not call me out, Carol. Just calling me out. What did I just Google?
No,
I Googled proscenium.
Yeah, 'cause I think no. But I was at the same thing. I was gonna do it, and I'm like, so what exactly is that?
A traditional Broadway theater.
Yeah.
Where most of the audience is sitting in
Yeah.
what we think of as the audience, and most of the action happens on a stage behind the proscenium arch, behind the picture of the proscenium arch. So our job was to break that proscenium as much as we could. We have 80 audience members on stage. We have the actors out in the audience all the time, and to really make it that everybody's in one room together.
Well, and not to go back to the original Cats, but let's go there. But that's how you could actually sit on the side of the stage.
Right.
And I also remember, like, when it opened, I saw it a couple times.
Yeah, I did too. It was my first Broadway show.
But like the cats coming down the aisle and stuff, like, so, like, it's really wonderful when you can figure out how to do that.
And that's embedded into Ballroom as well, right? Like, even that element of Cats from the original in terms of actors everywhere, that's the exact same kind of energy you want to create at a ball. So even down to that detail, we're in conversation with what was already in the event of Cats from the very beginning.
Zhailon mentioned taking the show on the road, and I just want to say one of the things we are so proud of is if you are somebody from the ballroom world, or if you think ballroom means waltzing and foxtrotting, like whatever your degree of knowledge, if you love Cats, if you've never been exposed to Cats, everybody of all ages loves this show. And we can say that it is a joy bomb, and we are so proud to be sharing it. And so we want it to have a good long life on Broadway, and we want to take it out on the road and get as many people to see it as possible.
How many times have you seen it?
I saw it twice downtown.
So far.
Twice downtown and then once on Broadway. The first time I went, I got a group ticket discount and brought 50 gay guys from Brooklyn to see it. And there's
Try that on Broadway.
When Temptress is about to hit like the big
Touch me.
big moment, and I just looked around the theater, and there were, like, the theater was full of people just waiting for her to go. And so yeah, I mean, it was really magical. So from the PAC, the Perlman Performing Arts Center, is part of your goal to create shows that move on from there, or what? How does this fit into that project for you?
Our mission at PAC NYC is to bring people together in that historic site at the World Trade Center. We want to bring people together from as many different communities as possible to be in community together in our theaters. And we believe in every project we do, so when one can have a longer life, it is an absolute gift. It's not the only measure of success at all, but it is one lovely measure of success.
I have to go see it. I have to go see it. I feel
Wait,
really
what did Andrew say? What did Andrew Lloyd Webber say when you got him on the phone?
Oh, he really was just tickled by the amount of joy. And like he often, anytime, at least I'm talking to him and he's talking about the show, that's the first thing he mentions is, it's just so joyful, isn't it?
Has he come to see it?
Many times.
Oh, he has?
Yes.
Yeah.
In fact, one of his great quotes is, "I've never been in a theater with as much love as I've been in for Cats, the Jellicle Ball."
And it's been thrilling to watch him like receive the lyrics and the poetry in a new way through this lens as well. Yeah.
I feel like that's what arts and culture, like arts is about, right? Like you take something and just it evolves, right? And I don't know, a rebirth or an innovative way. I don't know. It's just pretty cool stuff.
A revival.
That's right.
But it evolves.
And these
I love
guys are
it.
nominated for a Tony for it.
You
for
are.
Best Revival, yeah.
Congratulations.
9 Tony nominations.
That's a
We're
pretty
very
big deal.
proud.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big deal.
Yes.
So Chris, next time will you take Tim and me?
Yeah.
Okay.
You guys will get a group discount.
Okay.